Today, I have Elira Sichelian, the lead product consultant of Serverless 360, who will be the best person to discuss about the distributed tracing and how we can achieve the distributed tracing solution for all services that we use today. So I welcome Elira.
Thanks, Srihari. Thanks for this warm welcome. Hope you all can hear me good and see my screen good. So with this confirmation, I'm all good to get started. So as Srihari has rightly set the context for the day, so modern applications are built consuming different services together. Yes, it does have its own pros and cons, and we are going to discuss on some of the pros with the modern application development, some of the challenges that we encounter as we start supporting them in production, and we are not just going to stop with that, we are going to explore the solution for it and how Serverless 360 can complement you in supporting your applications in real time. So how are these modern softwares? So they are distributed in nature. So I expect my application to interact with a number of components that are way outside my application infrastructure, and they are expected to work seamlessly. These advancements in the technologies and the cloud services have helped us build or innovate in business without any challenges. So the agility they bring in, and they support us to take the solution quicker to the market, isn't it? But it also comes with some of the cons, like some challenges, like with the um, advancements in the technologies and which are ever evolving. Things are very complex now, and they are really not operation friendly. That is, I don't get to infer. In most of the cases, a lot of my microservices turn out to be black boxes, and I don't get an exact visibility on what's going on with them. Are they fine right now, or do they have any challenges? So such are certain challenges that leads to a longer resolution time when I want to get into the customer. And there is another point that we need to focus on is like, do we have people with the adequate skill set to support our system? So are we investing our highly skilled architects and experts into supporting the solution rather than allowing them to innovate in business? So which in turn is leading to elevated total cost of ownership on these applications. So these are some challenges that we find to be common across business domains, across multiple enterprises that we work with day in and day out. And hence, we wanted to come up with a solution. We wanted to give you an observability across the board. But how do we infer the status of your applications? What is going to be the key to achieve this observability? Yes, these services indeed present us with some matrices, status, and properties based on which we can infer what is the current status of them. And but by doing and tracing across the services, and end-to-end visibility of the message across these integration services can very well be achieved with the help of tracing. So the key to unlock observability are taking advantage of the matrices, status, and properties of the resources that we are dealing with, and implementing tracing to achieve end-to-end visibility on the message flowing through these services. So, and these two are going to be the focus of this session today, and we are going to explore how Serverless 360 can help you be proactive in monitoring your solutions rather than being reactive. Rather than reacting to an issue raised by your customer, you need to be proactive in recognizing, is there anything wrong with my system? And if something is found, do we have the capabilities in place to restore the failure even before the business gets impacted? So that's going to be the context for today. To proceed further, let us also investigate a little bit deeper on what are all the common support challenges that enterprises encounter. So assuming this to be a typical escalation, support escalation path in enterprises, which we found to be common across various enterprises, various business domains. So here we could identify that 90% of the errors that occur in your business scenarios are either functional or data specific errors, which can very well be offloaded to your business users or IT support teams. Whereas, due to certain challenges, we are not able to efficiently achieve them in case of cloud integrations, in case of modern applications which interact with multiple other services, either within Azure or outside Azure. So this being the scenario, let us investigate what are all the challenges in depth that causes me not to offload the support. The first one being, I'm forced to push the support to my Azure expert team because the support team cannot be expected to have the same level of knowledge on the system as that of my Azure expert team. Yes, so in case of any issue, even the support team does not have any visibility on what exactly is the issue, where exactly it has happened, which resource has caused the problem in my business application, or what has gone wrong is something that they do not get visibility on, because of which they are forced to push the support tickets to the Azure expert team who are actually intended to innovate in business. Instead, they are forced to take care of support tasks, and this in turn will lead to the support system being too expensive because you're investing your Azure expert team who are actually supposed to innovate in the support task. And obviously, it's going to take more time to resolve. We often hear teams through our interactions on the product demonstrations. We get to hear that people mentioning, see, actually, I am a developer, but I don't really get the time to build innovative solutions. Instead, what I am get to do is like in the middle of my development, I get a support ticket and my priority changes to over there. So this is a challenge that we find to be very common across business domains, and we wanted to sort that out. So when we investigated the reasons behind this push towards the right of the support is due to lack of visibility, lack of knowledge, and due to security reasons. In many cases, the support team is not allowed to use the Azure portal. Yes, so we wanted to come up with a solution, one solution that's going to sort out all these challenges, which can help you shift left your support. That is, you can safely offload the support tasks to your business users and IT support team, which in turn is going to help you improve the resolution time and cut down the costs being spent on the total cost of ownership of your application, and you can invest your Azure team in business innovation. So these are what we could successfully achieve, and which is what we are going to understand how with the help of three scenarios that I have picked up for today. So I have tried to categorize the modern applications into three categories here. Let us see each one of them and try to understand how are they implemented and what are all the real-time operational challenges, how these operational challenges can be addressed with the help of Serverless 360. So this is going to be scenario one, wherein I have a car department, that is an car garage showroom, wherein I would like to I have people, maintenance workers, who go to the remote location and then take care of collecting the details of the vehicles that would need to be serviced in my garage. Yes, so we need to send the vehicles for checkups, and these repairs need to be scheduled by the supplier. And the garage supplier would send out a response when the appointment is confirmed. So this is a workflow that needs to be achieved. So let us look at a logical view of this application, wherein I have got an support person, that is a maintenance person, who gets it to the on-site. She will collect the details of the car and she will send the appointment request to the garage. And the garage would process this request and then send the response back. When we look at the physical view of this application, how are we implementing it using the Azure services? That's how it looks like. So this physical view would involve a logic app which is exposed through an APIM. It's a timer triggered logic app which is going to process this information and then pass it on to the garage for further processing. And there is another logic app which has a defined workflows that's going to process the garage responses and send it across to the like maintenance person as in response. So this is my actual application. I am segregating them to be an appointment as one of subset application and the response as a subset application. Yes. So in this case, the first and foremost question is, when I look at these resources in the Azure portal, do I get an insight on are these working as per the expectation? So here is my Azure portal, and I have indeed, let me quickly confirm if you can see the screen. I think it's still displaying presentation. So I'm going to switch to the Azure portal. Yeah, yeah, I just confirmed that. You can see the Azure portal. So here is my Azure portal wherein I have the corresponding resources created, and these are the resources related to my car appointment integration. So at a quick glance here, all that I am presented with is a bunch of resources. Yes, so in this case, at least I have them grouped under a resource group. Do I get an instant feedback on what is the status of these resources at this point in time, and or how are they connected with each other to solve my business solution? This is something that I don't get an inference on, isn't it? Whereas I need an operation-friendly interface. When I mean operation-friendly interface, that I'm looking for is an instant feedback on the health status of my application. See, assuming this is my organization, wherein I have got multiple of my business applications, and one among them in this maintenance department, which has a car appointments application. This view indeed gives me an instant feedback on what is the status of my resources. The observability that we were talking about can be achieved at ease here. And here I get a clear representation of the actual application, isn't it? I have the logic app, I have the APIM, and I get to see their present status right in front of me. And I am monitoring them on number of the key matrices, a number of key matrices, and in case of any failure on these matrices, I'm going to instantly see them right here with an red alert here. Yes, I can also forward these alerts to my preferred notification channels like Teams, Slack, SMTP, or whatnot. And using the webhook notification channel, indeed, you can forward the alerts to any of your custom cloud applications even. So in this case, I get an instant feedback on my resources with an application like view that's going to help my support team understand how are these resources connected with each other and what is their status at this point in time. So this indeed is something that my team would appreciate. Proactive alerts, an interface to take the status on, and an tool set to perform common tasks. Say, what if I would like to investigate on failures of my logic app? So here in Serverless 360, you get to process the failures on your logic apps at ease. So here, taking into account of need of a support person, we are giving you an focused view on the failures and action required tab. So the moment I land an action required tab, I am presented with the key failures, which can be investigated to where exactly the failure happened and then resubmit them. I can resubmit the failed runs at a click, or if I want to automate that, that's even possible. So we provide you an intelligent automation possible at the business application level. I can create an automated task configuration that's going to resubmit my failed logic app runs based on the specification that I give. Say in one of the customer scenarios, there was a case like the logic app run action is connecting to a database, and that database connection string expired over the weekend. And when the team turned back on Monday, they had a huge surprise that they had a number of failures being raised, the thousands of failures, which are quite impossible for me to manually process them. So whereas they wanted an intelligent automation that can help them filter out those errors which were due to the connectivity failure to the database and then process them. So if I'm going to create an automated task that's going to filter those runs that has failed due to failure in this particular run action, and I want to be specific on the run reason as well. So I can say that if the failure reason is going to be the connection to the database um, error, say I could not connect to DB, if this is an error and if this error has happened in this particular run action, then I would like to proceed with resubmission. And this can be scheduled, that is, you can create this automated task, let it run at the background to ensure that this particular failure on this specific run action will never get through without acting. So this way you can cut off the manual effort involved in processing or manually evaluating what has gone wrong with your runs and then take decision to perform an operation. So this automated task came out to be a savior of time and effort when they had to restore their system from a predicted failure. Yes, so this business applications is going to give your team an operation friendly interface wherein they can understand the current status of the resources. So this business application module works based on the matrices, status, and properties, which we talked about as one of the keys to attain the observability. So there was another requirement as well, tracing. Like, so as we started this presentation, I was mentioning about 90% of the errors being functional or data errors, right? So which can very well be offloaded to your business users. So business would often be getting struck with information like what happened to this particular transaction or what happened to a particular car ID. So this could be some question that the business would often get struck with, isn't it? Say if I'm looking for all the cars, all the BMW cars that has come for um, the come to the garage for maintenance in the last 7 days. So if I'm looking for such an information, it's hard for me to attain when I do not have the proper tracking in place, right? So the two, when the message is flowing through systems across various integration services or various subscriptions or regions or even outside Azure, in such cases, it's very hard to attain. Whereas with the help of business activity monitoring in serverless 360, it's quite possible for me to track the necessary information. So you can enable your business users with a self-service portal that's going to help them fetch their required information at ease. So I can do a free text search like BMW in my tracked information to fetch those corresponding records that my business user is looking for. So as the business application module is giving me the status of my resources, so what we are also heading towards is to get the detail about did today's files get processed. So if I have decided to process 10 services today, has that gone through properly? Was there any failure? So these are certain questions the business would often get struck with, isn't it? So to enable your business users with the self-service portal, the go-to option is a serverless 360 BAM, wherein they can check on the business transactions. The every transaction that's going through the business application can be tracked, and you can give them an interface to search for a particular record, check if it's failed, what is the reason behind the failure can be investigated, and you can reprocess them either yourself or assigned to an individual for reprocessing. It is also possible to monitor these transactions. So I'm going to demonstrate all of that to you with the help of this scenario, wherein we are going to track this system on two important activities. That is, I might get a batch of car data information to be processed, and for every car, I need to perform two key operations. One is sending the appointment to the garage, and the garage would process the appointment request and it would send out a response. So these are two key operations that's going to happen for every car in the batch of cars that has been sent by my maintenance person from the on-site location. So now let us look at how this is being defined in business activity monitoring. So here is my definition of my business process. So here I have my car appointments batch, which is my key transaction. So from this scenario, say here I'm going to receive the CRM data, and then I would transform the data as an request to the garage system, and I would proceed. So from here, there is a request that's being initiated to the car appointments item, which in turn sends the request to the garage, and there is a response from the garage, and this transaction completes here. And there is an appointment response that's being sent, that is which receives a file and then decodes the flat file, and then the request file is being processed. So these are the different stages that are part of my application, right? So when I do the tracking of this information, so since this tracking is being done in the Logic app, Serverless 360 BAM exposes custom connectors which can be used to instrument your Logic app. So even in for your API arm, we expose the BAM APIs which can be instrumented into your API arm to track the information. So now the information has been tracked. How do I locate all those transactions which has happened under a specific batch? So here I am presented with all those cars which has been processed within a particular batch. So under this batch, these many requests have been sent, and these many appointments have been created. So this is my appointment batch. And you can also create your own queries to fetch requests of a particular type. See, as I said, here we have three types of transactions: an appointment and response are two key transactions that are happening. So you can have a focused view or based on the type of transactions by a simple query that's going to fetch me those transactions which are core appointment response batch. So here I am presented with all those transactions which belong to core appointment response batches. And we can also filter the records by a specific duration. Say, what if I find that there are certain runs which has failed in the last duration, and I would like to assign it to one of my team member for further processing. Yes, we can achieve that with the help of assign user for reprocessing. You can select a particular user, and then you can give them information like, so this transaction, maybe this transaction took too long, so investigate. I can send out an intimation message to my team member, and I can assign this transaction to him for investigation. When he logs into the portal, in the Assign Transactions tab, he is going to get a focused view of all those transactions that has been assigned to him. So this way, your business user is enabled with a self-service portal wherein they can view the transaction details. Say, here is my transaction, and this is the tracked information that I see in my transaction. Say at stage sent to garage, these are the key details that has been captured from the message flowing through this particular stage. I collect the model of the car, the target system, the number of it, the year of make, postcode, and its make. All information are being captured in the sent to garage stage. And the response from garage stage, I archive the entire message that's being sent as a response to this from this particular stage. Say, imagine in case a particular customer is reaching out saying that this is my instance ID and booking ID, but I haven't got the confirmation message. Your business user can very well reach out here, pick the response message, and then serve that customer without interfering with their Azure experts. So this way you can completely offload your support tasks by enabling your support team with the right portal, which is going to be Serverless 360 BAM. So this tracked information is also being given to you as a dashboard wherein we can get business insight data. Business insights can strategic decisions can be driven from this plotted information. Say from here I get to understand that what are the various type of transactions over a period of time, and how many has been successful and how many transactions turned out to be a failure. So from here I understand there were no failed instances in my business transaction and they are working as per my expectation. In case of any failures, the team can land on the action trigger tab and then investigate what exactly the reason behind the failure. What if I want to monitor them? Say in case of any exceptions in my business application, we can set up an exception alert that's going to give me an alert whenever there is an exception in my entire business flow. Or if I set an SLA on my business transaction, say an appointment should be confirmed within 2 minutes of in receiving an request. So I can turn on monitoring or alerting on long running transactions with the help of duration monitoring here. So here I have defined that the core appointment item transaction is expected to complete within 2 minutes. If it goes beyond 2 minutes, then I would like to receive an email alert. So this alert can be triggered on your Teams channel, SMTP, Slack, PagerDuty, or ServiceNow ticket can be raised as a consequence of this, and your respective stakeholders can be kept informed who need to take an corrective action to ensure that this operation completes within the stipulated time. So this business activity monitoring is going to help me track the information and visualize the tracked information as a dashboard to drive decision making, and transactions can be customized to capture the properties of various key properties that's flowing through the stages as messages, and you can monitor this entire tracked information using the monitoring to detect any exceptions or track any long running transactions, or even a query based monitoring can also be achieved with the help of business activity monitoring. So when I do not get any appointments within in the last 7 days, then that is something wrong, right? So I can choose to get set and warning threshold if I get less than 5 alerts, and if I get less than 1 alert, it's an error situation which I need to act on. That's something wrong with the person on the ground who is not sending me any appointments. So such monitoring alerts which can drive the business, proactively, like even before there is any impact on the business happens, you can detect an issue and then restore it with the help of a business activity monitoring. So at this juncture, I would like to take a short pause and then post an poll and collect a response. So this poll tries to understand, how do you currently host your business application? Is this entirely on-premise or in cloud? It could be in Azure or AWS, or it's a hybrid scenario wherein you have both on-premise and the cloud scenario situations. The poll is open now, and please provide in your response. I can see responses coming in. So based on this response, let us see more demonstrations or more scenarios which involves applications which are services which are on-premise and cloud hybrid scenarios here. I see equal split up of responses, like many have said you build your solution still in on-premise, and I can see both on-premise and cloud also to be marked by many people. So I would like to now close this poll. So this gives me an understanding that this scenario is mixed, like people are building applications across on-premises and cloud, and entirely in cloud, and entirely in on-premise. So the scenario we just saw was majorly involving cloud solutions, right? So cloud services like Logic App and APIM, and interacts with an external system, which can also be a cloud application. Let us look at another scenario wherein it's an IT branch office file archiving case. So here we have branch offices which will submit data to the head office. You can imagine a number of bank branches, and the data is being submitted from all the branch offices to a head office by the end of the day, and this data is via SFTP. So it's going to be a file. So we need to archive these files into a data lake so that we can build a Power BI report using them. So that is the requirement here. So this data collected from my branch offices are being sent to my head office as SFTP as SFTP files. So this is the logical view of my application, wherein am I audible, team? If not, please raise your hands, attendees. Yeah, so thanks for this confirmation. I would like to continue now. So this is a logical view of my application wherein there are branch offices which is submitting data to my head office as SFTP files, and my requirement here is to archive these files into a data lake so that this information can be used by Power BI for business analytics. So in this scenario, I'm going to build this archiving branch office file system, which involves a data factory. So I'm going to use a data factory, and I'm going to store my SFTP files into an Azure storage. This data factory pipeline is going to retrieve these SFTP files and migrate it to data lake. So this is the integration that I have built. A timer trigger pipeline component is what has been built here. So when we investigate the need for observability here, so as we did for the previous application, we are going to do it in two steps. Number one, we are going to define a business application for this integration, which is going to represent uh, this application as an integration. So here under my enterprise integration apps, under IT department, I have my archive branch office files application, which is defined with a dashboard that's going to give me an insight on the key performance indices of my resources. And I have a service map that represents the entire application. So as you notice here, there could be components that are outside Azure which cannot be monitored, but still I can enable my support team to understand that these are the components which are part of the system but outside the Azure. And this data factory pipeline and the data factory are two components, and my storage account or the components within my Azure portal that constitutes this archive solution. So with this understanding, my support team can get a better visibility on the actual file that's flowing through this system with the help of a business activity monitoring. So that's going to be my next requirement, wherein I would like to identify how many files did get processed now. So here I'm going to instrument my data factory pipeline to and track the file that's being flowing through this particular system. So when I get to my transactions definition in my business activity monitoring, I have two transactions here. Both of them get executed as in the pipeline components. So one is an archive branch office files transaction, and within that I have an archive file transaction, which is being executed. So this instrumentation is done in my data factory pipeline by consuming the HTTP endpoint that's exposed as part of serverless 360 BAM. And once it is done, this is what I get to visualize. Like I get to see, oh, how has the archive file transaction gone through? What has been the information that's tracked? Which exactly is the file name that has been processed? So if I am looking for a particular file, whether it has been processed or not, I can just do a free text search here that's going to fetch me those records that contain this particular text. So this way my business team can look for a particular file, whether it has been processed successfully or not. So this information can be gathered from here. And it is also possible for me to mark this transaction, this specific transaction as a favorite. Say if this is something critical that I am working with, I can mark this transaction as a favorite along with an reason. Say I would like to say that this is an important transaction, tag this so that next time when I get in, I want to get a quicker access to it. So I can choose to see that particular transaction under my favorite transactions list. And I also have an option to define or view what are all the information that are specific to this particular business transaction. You can see, when we look at it from an Azure user or Azure expert's perspective, I can set this interface and then hand it over to my business users who can use this as a self-service portal to deal with the incoming customer queries. So I can save multiple queries based on which the support user can access the necessary information, and it is also possible for me to monitor these queries based on those, monitor these transactions based on these queries. So in the last 7 days, if if I am having a lot of failures, then that is some concern to me. So if the archival of the files is failing, then I can trigger an alert to check or detect in what exceptions are happening with my business process flow. This is what the scenario that involves file archiving. So let us look at a bit more complex scenario, which involves an SAP integration. So this system is is a finance application used by my finance team. So they have iDocs that are published from the SAP system to support a number of outbound integration use cases. Like from this SAP system, I get an iDoc which is being consumed by a number of my outbound integrations. Yes, we need to receive these iDocs and implement and publish subscriber pattern to drive the interfaces, which in turn will integrate with multiple systems which are even present outside Azure. So here I'm using IBM Maximo, and we need to use MathMass and order S05 messages to integrate with the IBM Maximo. So this exactly is our customer scenario. And here, this is my logical view of the application. I have an SAP system which will publish my iDoc, and I need an component that would load this order to IBM Maximo. And this iDoc is also used by another subsystem, which is a load material, which will also load the material to my IBM Maximo. This is my scenario, and I try to implement it using various Azure services. Like from my SAP system, I have an logic app which can seamlessly integrate with the SAP system to publish this iDoc to service bus topic with subscriptions. And I have my multiple logic apps subscribing to various subscriptions under this topic, which in turn is exposed to by IBM Maximo using an API. So this is how the system is being designed. So when we look at the observability need here, I'm going to group these systems into two different business applications for better operations. Or when I have different teams who are going to work on the subsystems. I have a team who is going to take care of the publish, and I have another team who is going to take care of loading this into IBM Maximo. Maybe the team one is an expert in dealing with SAP integrations, and team two is has an expertise with IBM Maximo. So I would like to segregate these resources into two different business applications. Let me show you how I have done it in Serverless 360. So here is the finance module, that is a domain within which I have two business applications. One is a Maximo iDoc subscribers who will be dealing with the two components that we have, load order and load material, and SAP iDoc publishing, which will be another subsystem which will take care of publishing the iDoc. Yes, so these are the two business applications. So when I get into my Maximo iDoc subscribers from the service map, I get a clear visualization of this entire business application, wherein I have a topic subscription to which my Logic app subscribes to, and it is exposed through an APIM to my IBM Maximo. And in the load order scenario, and the same topic subscription is another subscription under the same topic is being subscribed by my Logic app, which loads my order into my Maximo. So this entire application representation along with the status will be an critical time saver when it comes to dealing with these. And the Serverless 360 also has an excellent tool set to deal with errors in your service bus queues and topic subscriptions. In fact, there is no other tool in the market that gives you an monitoring at the subscription level, whereas in Serverless 360 you get to monitor your topic subscriptions. So as you all know, topic subscriptions can have rules which will ensure that not every messages that get into the topic get into all my topic subscriptions, right? So if you want to have an eye on the count of messages in a specific topic subscription, you can monitor a topic subscription in Serverless 360. And it is also possible to explore into the messages that enter into my service bus topic subscription. So in case of I having messages in my topic subscriptions, I have an option to peak or defer the messages from the active or dead letter end of my queue or topic subscription, and you can perform operations manually like resubmission or filtering the messages by dead letter resends can be achieved here, which is not a straightforward solution elsewhere in any. So in a nutshell, Serverless 360 doesn't stop at letting you recognize the state of your solution, which any other APM would do, but we also give you the tool set to restore any failure that is identified. That's with the business application. So and for this SAP system, I have defined two business applications to represent the status of the subsystems, and I get the monitoring and the tool set to restore the failures in the Serverless 360 business applications. When it comes to tracking, so I'm going to send events to Serverless 360 BAM on three key stages that are expected to happen. That is, number one, publishing the iDoc. So I would like to know whether the publishing of iDoc has happened successfully or not, has it loaded the order or not, and has the load of material has happened to IBM Maximo. So these are three critical stages that I would like to track to enable my business team to deal with this particular system. So here is that particular scenario. Let us look at the transaction definitions, wherein I have an iDoc published to EAI platform as one of my transactions. Load material to Maximo is my second transaction, and load order to Maximo is my third transaction. So once I instrument this transactions, I get the tracking done, and I get to see the data being visualized as a dashboard. So this dashboard is also completely configurable. I can have widgets created to represent information based on my requirement. And in this case, I get a clear visualization of what are the count of different transactions that has happened and how many failures have encountered. And from the tracked information, as we saw for the earlier scenarios, it's possible for me to filter the information by the transaction type, and I can fetch the information that has gone through every stage. Even the entire message that has flown through this particular stage can be archived for me to access here. So what if I would like to reprocess a transaction? I find that this transaction is long running and it is in progress still. I would like to reprocess this transaction and then see if this gets successful now. So this stage which is being configured with reprocessing. So I should show you how to configure reprocessing. So let us get into the transactions. And load to Maximo is the transaction where I have configured uh, the reprocessing. So we can configure reprocessing on a stage by defining the target endpoint, or which could be an HTTP endpoint or a service bus queue or event grid or SFTP endpoint. You can configure this with appropriate values to ensure that the transaction, when resubmitted, can be the message that is flown through that particular stage can be resubmitted to this transaction for restoration. So here we found that a particular transaction is ongoing and I would like to reprocess it. So as I click on that particular transaction, I am allowed to reprocess to the stage that's configured with reprocessing, and you have the archived message here which can be reprocessed. I can select the message and then proceed to resubmit. These are the various stages that have been configured with reprocessing. I can choose the appropriate stage and then proceed with reprocessing. So this brings us pretty much to the end of this demonstration. The key idea here was to explore the need for distributed tracing in various scenarios. We talked on 3 scenarios, wherein the first scenario was an car maintenance scenario, wherein logic apps were involved in appointment booking and response sending, which we tracked to get the information on insight on number of transactions that's happening and how successful were they on. And in the second scenario, we were dealing with IDOCS, which is an IT backend transaction. And the third scenario was involving SAP. SAP and IBM Maximo. So 3 different scenarios which are very different from each other. They are spread across various technologies, but still we were able to successfully achieve end-to-end tracking of them with the help of business activity monitoring. This tracing across distributed systems, which is the distributed tracing, is key in case of supporting such modern complex applications in real time, but which can be simplified with the help of serverless 360 BAM. So if you have to invest, so we often hear people saying like we tried getting into a custom solution to achieve this distributed tracing, but we were unsuccessful. Or you cannot attain a matured solution like BAM, which is going to give you an holistic visualization of the tracked information as dashboards which are configurable and which can be monitored to detect any exceptions or long-running transactions or any business failure. So this is a comprehensive solution that can help you achieve distributed tracing across your integration services. And for your Azure services, you can have a business application like operation friendly view, wherein you can spotlight where the problem is and then restore any failure with the help of business applications in serverless 360. So I would like to throw light on few very good content that is available under serverless 360 blogs, which talks about achieving distributed tracing across integration solutions. So I would like to throw light on these topics. Feel free to explore all the content in serverless 360 blog and then learn more about distributed tracing. So at this juncture, I would like to initiate another poll which tries to understand where do you think serverless 360 BAM would be better suited for your business scenario. I'm launching this poll. You can express your thoughts on whether will it help you achieve end-to-end visibility or dependency mapping between the services, or to perform a root cause analysis when your business encounters any exception. I can see responses highlighting dependency mapping between the services and root cause analysis. Excellent. Yeah. Yes, responses are actively coming in, and still I I see equal responses for dependency mapping between services and root cause analysis. Indeed, we have observed in many business scenarios wherein BAM has served the purpose of identifying where exactly the problem is. So business is often struck with a question like what happened to this particular message, or where did this particular transaction fail. So such questions can be very well addressed with the help of BAM, and we clearly see the value addition that BAM brings in to complex business scenarios that we deal with day in and day out. Much appreciated. So the most of the responses say that root cause analysis is the scenario wherein they can fit in serverless 360 BAM for in their business. Excellent. I appreciate the responses, and I would also invite you to explore the solution for your business application to see what value it can add to your business scenario. So this brings us to almost the end of the presentation. We are all already serving global customers, well-known brands across the globe, across business domains. So these are the outcomes at a bigger picture, what we arrive at. Like, we get to organize your Azure resources to attain observability based on matrices, your matrices, properties, and statuses on your resources, which is a static monitoring with the help of business applications, ideal for your operations teams to detect the failure in the Azure resources and restore them without much of efforts from Azure team. You can even automate this resolution to reduce the manual effort involved in. And you can unlock observability with distributed tracing using serverless 360 BAM, ideal for your business users to spotlight where exactly the business has struck and restore the same. You can turn the data on your Azure portal into actionable insights with the help of Azure Documenter. We have also brought in a preview feature called the cost analyzer that's going to give you an insight on spending across subscriptions. So when I have multiple subscriptions, and there is not an interface, a single interface wherein I get to see the spending on them across the subscriptions, right? So here in serverless 360, we enable you to attain that. And with filtering on tags, you can get an application level spending across subscriptions with the help of cost analyzer. Very interesting feature, which is up in preview for people to try out. And these features, all of them push you towards an ultimate goal of reducing the total cost of ownership, wherein you shift left your support to your operations team and support team or business users. We have different roles being defined, but ultimately whoever is handling support, you can enable them to allow the Azure team to innovate in your business. So this has considerably proven to reduce the total cost of ownership in all those enterprises that I just shared in the previous slide. So Cerebrata is another offering from Serverless 360 team for Azure developers. So this is simple, lightweight developer tool, desktop tool, which can help you explore into the services that you work on as you build the application. So when I'm working with a service bus queue, I want to see whether the messages have got into the queue or not. I can use the service bus feature that helps me explore into the messages in Cerebrata. And you can similarly explore into a Redis cache for Cosmos DB or a storage account with the help of Cerebrata. So now it's time for a feedback. I'm open for any questions or feedbacks. Please post your questions. I would be happy to answer them.
So you can use the chat option to post in your queries. Yeah, I really appreciate Elil in putting in her efforts and walking us through all of the challenges that we have in this modern world scenario. And it was a very insightful session, Elil, and thanks for that.
Thanks, Srihari.
So thank you everyone. So if any of the audiences want to access serverless 360, so we have an sandbox environment. So if you can drop us a mail, you can mail to support at serverless360.com, or you can use the chat option again to drop on your interest to get access to our sandbox environment. And yeah, we would provide you access, and you would have an invite, and you can just explore serverless 360.